Oh, you didn't want me to put you on the spot? Okay,
That's
awesome.
fine. I will talk about. I'll tell you after my idea after we do the intro.
Oh,
We're not
okay.
gonna change it today.
Okay. Alrighty then. I'm still saying what I just said, which is funny that you are going to have to indeed change the title, but I guess we'll talk about the idea later, huh?
Yeah, we won't change the title just now. Because welcome to the show, everyone. Marvel Multiverse Mondays presents Loki Thorsdays. Of course, this great show is brought to you by Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. I named the company right today.
You did. You got it right this time.
Bravo, Kyle.
I'm here and ready to get this done and over with, because fuck Loki. It's garbage. I hate it. It's stupid. I don't want to watch it. I'm joking. It was a awkward start. I won't necessarily say rough, because there was only one part of it that was just like, the fuck are you guys doing? But the rest of it I liked a lot. So
I like that we're on the same page already.
Yeah.
Spoilers, obviously, from the start, everyone, because the first 20 minutes or so, I was like, this is the worst thing Marvel's MCU has put out. No, the worst Disney Plus 20 minutes that they've put out. Not Marvel all time. And then it got really good.
I still don't know if I agree with that.
Well, first of all,
yeah.
we'll discuss what you were saying. We will have to change the title eventually. Today, with the time of this recording, Disney announced that all their shows would be coming out on Wednesdays, which really fucks with the Marvel Multiverse Monday name.
Did they say? I didn't catch all of it. Is it everything?
Is it just Marvel? Maybe
Star
I thought it
Wars,
was. I thought it was their biggest
Marvel?
stuff. Might just be Marvel. Then if you're,
I hope it's
when you have two
Marvel.
series running at once, I guess you'd want Marvel on Wednesday and Star Wars on Friday. That way you have. Yeah, that makes sense, because at some point with all those dozens of Star Wars shows announced, they'll have them running at the same time.
It says from Deadline, Disney shifts original series release schedule. Shows to launch on Wednesdays. Going forward, the streamer will drop all of its originals on Wednesdays. This will include all original scripted, unscripted, and animated series. Disney Plus original movies will continue to premiere on Fridays.
I think
so.
They could set Marvel and Star Wars for separate days, because eventually we'll have two running at the same time.
Well, I mean, this is what
like Bad Batch.
This is what's going to happen. This is something we discussed on Daily Cog or LR Mornings a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
That at some point you're going to have to start doing the same thing you did with network and cable TV, which is vying for days, especially since so many streamers are going with the weekly release. Don't be surprised when Netflix does a weekly release. It's coming. If it's not already happened somewhere, it's coming. And as of right now, everyone dumps on Fridays, and
all the other networks do.
And they're realizing that it just bogs down the trades and the blogs and the YouTube channels, and people are starting to be a lot more selective with what they cover. And Disney went ahead and made the first move and said, hey, we're going to give you guys some breathing room, and we're going to give you this thing in the middle of the week, and that way you're not having to, have a weekend work team, people covering stuff on. It's just smarter and better now that there's more streaming competition.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I don't want to spend forever in this, obviously, but I just want to.
No, you can go to the Daily Cog for this shit.
Yeah. No, that's what we're only gonna talk about briefly, because we got Netflix just recently started doing some shows on Wednesday. HBO's been Sunday heavy, but they do shows other nights of the week. Like Sunday is the night for HBO, where it's like, here's our number one drama, number one documentary. CBS, I mean Paramount Plus basically acts like CBS, where like Discovery's always been Thursdays. I think maybe All Trek's been Thursdays. Amazon's only Friday, as far as I can tell. But this makes sense in the way that you can get your straight Marvel normal-ish superhero stuff on Wednesday and then turn it to Amazon on Fridays for the breaking down of the genre, like The Boys and Invincible.
Yeah, and get
So now you don't have to choose your Falcon or your Invincible on the same day.
yeah,
You can
get a good old-fashioned dose of the ultra violence.
yeah, which you won't be getting from Marvel.
I don't know. They get pretty violent. Just it's
Can't
with
show
robots.
Yeah, the robots they're fine, or aliens.
Yeah.
They're fine.
Somehow killing aliens, which are still sentient life, is better. Whatever. That gets you a
weren't the
PG-13.
Jakari like a hive mind?
That
That's how
gets
I
you-
always pictured them.
Does it matter? They're living creatures, right? I mean, you would get a rated R if you showed slaughtering of sheep, wouldn't you? Like if you just started slaughtering
not any
sheep
blood.
like the Hulk.
Lord of the Rings
There
just
was-
opens with everyone getting slaughtered,
There's
but
all
there's no
sorts of-
blood, so it's PG-13.
Well, there was orc blood later on, and
Well, I mean, I'm
and-
talking about the beginning when Sauron's
Yeah.
just running around, just smashing people. He
That's
kills a
what
lot
I'm-
of people, but there's
That's
no
what
R
I'm getting
because
at, is like if they're too human, so if they're dwarves, elves, or humans in Lord of the Rings case, yeah, they limited the blood. But if you go back and you watch orcs or animals, the trees and shit like that, those fuckers bleed or sap it
one of the
everywhere.
other trees bleeds sap. Come on.
Yeah.
What about the aliens with green blood? It doesn't matter. You can slaughter 1,000 Vulcans.
Anyways, let's dig into something else green, and I'm not talking about our sponsors who'll come up later. I'm talking more Loki.
We got a green logo again too. It's actually gonna be a consistent thing.
Yeah.
That's cool. You know, sometimes they just do it on the first episode, like WandaVision. But yeah, I think this episode's called Variant. Am I correct?
Mhm.
Episode 2 of Loki. Let's just go right off the bat with the biggest spoiler, and then we'll talk about it throughout the episode.
Well, I mean, really wasn't that much of a spoiler, was it?
Well, we all expected it, but no
Yeah.
one. Lady Loki. It is indeed Lady Loki,
Mhm.
with blonde hair and everything. Not even like
I thought she
I
was
mean,
like a dirty blonde or
yeah,
brunette
dirty
in the
blonde, but she's not like
comics.
slick black. Like,
No.
Let's see, where's the right one? And I think I was right in this case.
No,
then.
in the comics it was black hair.
Yeah, that's what I thought. In the comics,
Yeah.
it's black, but here they have. I mean, it shouldn't matter if it's a variant. In the episode we
No,
saw,
it matters because I can't fucking stand blondes. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Anyways, carry on.
What's interesting, I think I was right last week when I said it was the horns were one of the
Yes.
reasons the kid pointed, because
Yes.
she wears smaller horns, so she wears them all
That's
the
true.
time.
I was right in that nobody would fight in Loki's
Loki wouldn't wear
horns. Yeah. She has tight, which are not what she had in the comics. What she had in the comics was indeed more of what you see. Let me see if I can bring it up real quick.
Like Avengers, or even someone else in the comics.
Yeah, like this, like that, like the horns
Yeah.
were not necessarily like I guess that's probably some deviant art, like something like that. She's had longer horns, like him. Definitely not as short as we see.
But look at the one. Look
the
at the
new
one
ones.
on the right of that. Click on that picture.
This one.
Yeah.
I have
Look
no
on the one
idea
on the
what
right.
this
See the
is.
broken horn?
How new
That's
is that?
that's actually a reference to the one of the main comics this is based on, Agents of Asgard, where young Loki, not female Loki, has a
Okay.
broken horn.
Got it.
I think it's just a reference to the book. I almost bought it, but it's like $40 on Amazon because it's a complete like 24 issue run of
yeah. But I'll be
called
honest.
Agent of Asgard, where he has to hunt down his own variants or something, and every time he hunts someone down, they take away one of his sins. Like
Nice.
Odin's like erases one of his sins.
I actually am really disappointed that it was straight up the horns. Like it should have been a metaphorical devil. Like
I
that
think it's that too. There's also the blue
yeah,
of
well,
like the gum and
of
the.
course, but still
She
like
wears green.
for
I mean, that's the
No, no,
devil's
no.
wearing green.
No,
in yeah.
yeah, that's true. But again, that's all like legit. That's almost too on the nose. You know what I'm saying?
But I still agree with your point last week. It's
Yeah.
still, the God of Mischief, like Lucifer, like not a good god.
Well, not a god at all, but
Well, Asgardian and Lucifer, angel, but the fallen.
yeah, but angels aren't gods, so
No. Well, you know what I mean. More powerful than humans, and usually hate humans if they're the evil kind.
Oh, I hate
Like Loki
humans
and
too.
Bartleby in
Yes,
in Kevin Smith's universe. Is that Loki?
love that.
So the episode actually starts in Wisconsin, 1985, which is a fun trick because they show you it before they give you the time period, and you're like, and I was thinking, I'm like, this better be a
Are you sure it
Renaissance
wasn't
fair because this
Washington?
is some bad set dressing if this is actually supposed to be Renaissance times. Um, but oh, and did you notice the really interesting possible cameo in the very first few seconds?
That
It's a
what?
different actress, but that actress looks. I mean, the actress. I've always confused her with Catherine Hahn.
Oh, I don't think there's anything to that. Just like
I think it's just as likely as the Peggy Carter, which I don't think is likely.
yeah, it's possible with
It'd be a fun wink,
it
though.
would be
I wish
more.
it was.
Yeah, I would believe more the Peggy Carter than a um Catherine Hahn Agatha connection.
It'll
But
be
yeah,
fun though. This is like traveling back in time, like because this is before anything in WandaVision happened. Like she knows witches and magic exist, and she's like, oh, okay, there go. Like she's never met Loki or Thor. They Loki wasn't super famous on Earth Midgard until 2012. Before that, he was doing
yeah.
little stuff like DB Cooper.
Well, I mean, I
She's
don't I
more.
don't
She
know.
knows more about witches than she does aliens or
And
gods or
what's her name? Frigga refers to herself
herself
as
as a
a
witch.
witch. So I think they would probably know. But anyways, yeah.
Anyways, the team starts with the team showing up. The Minutemen. Um, Lady Loki, of course, is there. We don't see her until the end. They keep her in the cloak the entire time so they can save the reveal for the end of this episode.
As if it was some big reveal. Nobody
Yeah,
figured out
that's the fact.
last year.
When you see she's wearing a cloak and they keep putting her in it, it's
Yeah.
like, well, there's obviously something they're hiding for. So it's not just going to be Tom Hiddleston. So it makes it obvious we're getting something different. Though it could be old Loki. I think we will still see old Loki because I forgot the name of the actor. He was nominated for an Academy Award a few years ago. His famous role is Whitnale and I. In fact,
What do you mean old like an older
we're gonna get an
version?
older Loki, I think.
Oh,
There's an
okay,
actor
okay.
cast in this who looks just like Tom Hiddleston, who would make a good candidate for like 80s. Like he's in his 70s or something. A Loki that's in his 70s, a different variant.
Yeah.
Because one
Okay.
theory about the show, let me see what you think about this. I don't think this is the way the show is gonna go. One theory about the show is that our Loki is gonna want to gather as many Lokis as he can and make a Loki army. And I don't think that's the direction the show is going.
I actually think multiple Lokis is a really key point.
Mm-hmm.
Um
I don't
I
think he's
think
gonna
all
want to
of
create a
those
team of Lokis.
I don't know if he's going to create an Avengers team of Lokis
That would be
to
so cool,
take
though.
over or help. But I do think that all of those bombs went to different Lokis and allowed Lokis to do something. That's what I think.
Oh, because if I know the apocalypse is about to happen, she somehow telegraphed that to some of them, then they could be. Well, we'll get to that. That's a really cool. We do see later in this episode that it was right to bring Loki in because he figured out something in about 30 minutes the TVA couldn't figure out for however long this has been going on. So we're back at an old Renaissance fair. We see first this Loki has the power to control people. At first, I'm like, oh yeah, old Loki can do that. And I'm like, no. The staff can do that. So this obviously variant Lokis have different powers,
which they mentioned
very quick.
Yeah, they mentioned in the briefing.
She controls C20, and they have a little fight. I was really worried at this point in the episode. I didn't mind the music like you, Kyle.
The music was trash.
The only reason it felt a little bit like they shouldn't have used it is because I watched the Masters of the Universe trailer just last week, which of course uses that song to a much better effect.
Oh, it was placed odd. I get.
I think it's just because it's the 80s, right? And it's a Renaissance fair.
Right. I understand the idea, but it didn't work. It feels as out of place as Immigrant Song does in Ragnarok. I don't know.
I like an Immigrant Song in Ragnarok.
I'm not against the song. It doesn't fit with the rest of the movie. They use it in two places at at two different times with two different Thors, basically, and the rest of the time you've got this really cool electronic soundtrack going through it from was he in Boingo, I think he was.
No, not Daniel.
Motherbaugh?
Mothersburg or something, right?
Mothersburg or something like
From
that.
who does a lot of
was he in Devo or something like that? He was in one of
I
those.
don't remember what he
new-
was in,
new
but he
wave
does a lot of
bands.
Wes Anderson. Like the one I like the best that he's done is The Life Aquatic. I think
Anyways,
he's done another blockbuster. I think he did Green Hornet maybe or something too.
yeah, they were yeah, he was Devo. Bob Mothersbaugh.
I didn't know he was from Devo. Okay.
Yeah, I knew
That's
it
why
was
it
one of
definitely
those
has that sound.
new wave bands. So yeah, I hated the usage. It reminded me the worst music usage of all time, though, of course, was I'm Just a Girl in Captain Marvel. That was
Oh, if we're talking about Marvel, sure.
Yeah.
Not if we're talking about of all time.
No, just for Marvel. But
No,
this was
okay.
pretty bad.
Slight side note. So I watched a whole hour-long video by Patrick Willems. If you haven't heard of him, he does these great video essays.
Mm-hmm.
He does an entire one on music usage and movies, like comparing, like he calls it the needle drop, comparing when the sound's actually in the scene, like someone like hitting a radio, and you're like, okay, when a song's in someone's head, when a song's like in the filmmaker's head, when like, and he actually makes a point of Thor Ragnarok. And he talks about I'm Just a Girl being one of the worst examples in the history of film, which you would like. But he also discusses that he likes Immigrant Song because he says it's worked into the score to a point where it's Thor's theme. Plays for him at the beginning and then it plays for him when he gets his confidence back at the end.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
It's played in two different parts.
Well, that's the thing. It's used as his theme,
Thors,
almost like it was written to be the score.
But
that's how the filmmaker's using it.
But it's not even really worked into any of the music anywhere else in any tangible way. You don't even feel it anywhere else like it inspires any of the other music. It's literally just a bookend, and it's never existed anywhere else. So just like this, it just came out of nowhere, holding out for a hero. Like,
Loki's
again,
gonna become a hero, is what
with
someone pointed out. But I'm like,
with
they just wanted
two
a fun
on the
80s
nose,
song.
with
Yeah.
two on the nose. So
Like every
anyways.
song in Cruella. But or a Suicide Squad's another example of a bad one that he used, where it's like every 3 seconds you get a new on the nose song about a character.
Mhm.
Anyway, she's not able. Loki.
And we do have to make one correction. It was not Bob Mothersbaugh. It was his brother Mark, also
Mark.
in Devo.
I thought I said Mark.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. Okay.
I said Bob was the first name I saw. So
I think I said Moth Mothersburgers.
Mothersbaugh.
Grand Moth Mothersburgers. Anyway.
Who's got the brain injury here?
Hey. Anyway, I thought the fight scene itself was terrible too without the music. I was like, am I watching Iron Fist? Like the choreography, the shot choice. I was pretty. First
Too
20
dark.
minutes this episode had, maybe that's what it was. Even on my TV, I was like, woo-hoo. But I was worried for the first few minutes. I'm like, oh shit, the show.
Is it over already?
No, not this is over already, but I'm like, oh no, this is the worst 20 minutes at least of Marvel I've seen on Disney Plus. But the episode gets much better. Of course, she takes off. Lady Loki takes off with a hostage, C-20, and those little devices. Which the more I see them, they look like little Game & Watches.
Mm-hmm.
They're little like iPad type things that they carry around.
Pip-Boy thing. Yeah.
They look a lot like even the color scheme. They look a lot like Game & Watch to me, which is funny. But
And I don't know. I know back in 2000, whatever the fuck it came out, they did refer to her as Lady Loki. If someone's got an issue with that, whatever the fuck, that's what Marvel called it. So deal with it. I know here it's just Loki variant and whatever, but don't get upset at having to differentiate for purposes of storytelling.
otherwise it's hard because he's also
Exactly.
variant Loki. It's variant Loki 1 and 2, and then Prime Loki, which would be the one that's
is dead.
we've seen to completion.
And this is actually what variant 1 C-130 or some shit
they
like
give
that.
him
or-
some number.
Yeah, whatever the fuck. Anyways,
But so she gets those, and of course she also gets to steal all the charges, as we've seen before.
Yep.
Plan.
They have no idea how many charges she had.
Yeah. And then we cut. Oh, here's another interesting thing that people are saying online, and I think they're just plain wrong because I don't think they know how the MCU works. A lot of people are like, it's really Enchantress because those are Enchantress's powers, and Enchantress is blonde. I think they just gave and I think they just gave, unless she goes by Enchantress also, I think they just combine the characters.
An amalgamation, yeah.
Like Marvel does all the time.
And also, I could see her giving herself the name Enchantress.
And once we get that, it'll be easier.
Yeah.
But I also don't see her wanting. Everyone thinks they're the best Loki. No one's gonna want to give up the name.
I don't know, because the name's given to them by Odin, and we don't know how she feels about her Odin. So she could be really, really against it. I mean, let's face it. The blonde is an interesting thing, but Loki can make themselves look however they want.
It's closer to Thor than her other sibling.
Yeah. So I'm not 100% certain that I'm not 100% certain that they won't pull a switcheroo. I think some people would be upset because they'd be like, "Oh, you took away some moment," but I don't know. The amalgamation and potentially giving themselves the name Enchantress later.
She's like, "Call me Enchantress." Let's not confuse each other.
Something. We'll see. But I hadn't thought of that. I've been wondering for a long time if and when she would ever show up. But
early on, some of us thought Hela was Enchantress before they gave the name, and we just had some leaked photos of her.
Yep.
They're like, green. She's wearing green, and she's involved with Asgard.
Makes sense. Run with it.
So we cut to the TVA. Loki's actually at Mobius's desk, as we learn later, and he's reading a magazine with a jet ski. And the Miss Minutes is like jumping around like a hologram or something. I'm trying to talk to him. Of course, we didn't mention it. Did we mention it last time? Tara Strong, voices her, of course. Many roles, but originated Harley Quinn of all the classic comic characters. And it's fun. She dances around. We learn a very important thing that I figured already. Once that line hits the red spot on their little, the diverging line hits the red spot on their little Game & Watches, it means it's a nexus point they can't fix, which is something you would assume. But you need to just place these rules throughout. Mobius grabs Loki for a mission. They're going to go to the Renaissance Fair. He gives him a nice TVA jacket. It says variant on the back. Is this where he shows all the different versions of Loki that could exist?
Yeah, during the briefing, yeah.
Where we see like Hulk Loki and
like a troll.
Or we have a Hulk Loki and like troll Loki and like Viking Loki, and even one person even said Mandarin Loki is what one of them looked like. And B-15, our favorite agent, the one that will stick around for a while, calls Loki the cosmic mistake.
I don't know, she got phasma'd pretty quickly, so.
Yeah, but she's still alive. But yeah, she got her ass kicked this episode. And controlled. Loki tries to explain his powers, which kind of shows they don't know everything. Because I don't think it's not they don't care, it's that they don't know the ins and outs of his exact powers, because he kind of explains the difference between like duplicate and like putting an illusion on himself. And then, he asks the questions we all think, with time travel. It's like, well, why can't you just arrive before that? Right before it and stop it from happening? And the point is, you can't arrive before a Nexus event because you create another arching thing. So it's better to show up afterwards and hope you can catch the variant.
Yes.
So they take he wants to catch the lesser Loki. He insists that he's the better Loki. So they go to the same tent at the Renaissance Fair. Let me ask you another question. The first time I saw it, it felt like they entered a different dimension when they entered the tent. But the second time I watched it, I'm like, no, they're just entering a dark tent.
It's just a dark tent.
The first I was like, weird, like the lights are on, like everywhere else, like the lights are all torches. I know that's a Renaissance Fair looking thing, but they don't necessarily do that at Renaissance fairs. But
that tent wasn't in use at the moment. and the audio made it clear that it was set up as some sort of like probably like dinner theater, like watch the battle show while eating a turkey leg type thing.
Or even where people will go to take their costume off.
No, they were playing audio about the battle will begin.
That's true.
Stuff, and then the music wasn't coming through those speakers.
No, that would have to be in the characters, the director's head or whatever, as I was talking about. He basically, this is like the first point where like, oh yeah, you actually can't trust this one. As you like, I took him at his word last week, and you're like, it's Loki. Like, don't forget, because he does. He acts like he's helping them, but he just keeps them there as long as he can until they have to blow it, otherwise the branch will be permanent.
Yep. And
then Owen Wilson and everyone's pretty pissed off at him after that. So Owen Wilson has to go see Renslayer, who seems to be one of the most important people at the TVA. We saw her as the judge. She claims that she says she's met them, right? Because she meets with them directly. She claims, the timekeepers, who, just like Loki. What do you think? Do you think they actually exist? Or are they part of the illusion at this point? Like, they did exist, but
I think Kang has taken over, and there's an illusion, because we got to remember in the comics, Ravana is important in taking down Kang.
And she's been with him before that.
But yes, and sometimes it's willingly, sometimes it's unwillingly. It's complicated. So having him and her maybe working together against the time lizards, I don't know. There's a lot of really fun things that they could do here, because of the rules that they're setting up allow you to actually have quite a bit of fun.
And then she does some interesting stuff throughout the scene, like if there is no Kang, which I very much doubt, which they actually asked the actor this week, and he gave the perfect, like, he's one of the best Marvel actors of all time at just throwing stuff off. He's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Rather than being like, maybe, or whatever. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Almost as if like, what's Loki? But they hired me for one movie, and I'm an actor, damn it. Which is also interesting because it doesn't affect the show. There would be an interesting connection if they met up again. Renslayer's the female lead from Lovecraft Country, and the guy who plays Kang is the male lead from that show. Not that anyone cast thinking about that. I mean, Godzilla cast Pietro and Wanda as husband and wife. So
just one of those things that happens.
she gets all the artifacts. Owen Wilson's a little jealous of that.
Yeah.
Like I was about to say, if there is no Kang, I think she's at the top, and she's like creating the Oz, not referencing the movie Oz the Great and Powerful, but she's created the illusion that's behind her.
Right.
Which very well I do think is a Kang reveal at the end of the series, even if for a while we think maybe she's not the. Yeah, I feel like the TVA could be the actual big bad by the end of this.
Could be.
I mean, we'll see. Especially if it's an illusion. I mean, because think of all the people who live there. They're slaves. They have kind of a existential moment within the episode where Loki's talking with Mobius about creation and like, why do you exist and what do you believe? And he's like, well, I believe the TVA exists. Like, I was created by the timekeepers to keep. But they're all like slaves. He's not allowed to go ride a jet ski. They're not working for any happiness. What's his face has never seen a fish. Casey's never seen a goddamn fish in his life.
Which is weird because he watches timelines. You would think he would at some point.
Maybe the fish. Maybe there hasn't been a timeline yet where the fish come and rule the world.
Why not?
Because, I mean, even when they have that discussion about the end and Owen Wilson's like, they haven't figured it out yet. They're untangling it and stuff. And then, of course, they bring up the question a lot of people were upset last week about. They're like, the Avengers don't have free will. And they kind of had the discussion about if the timeline is set, how much free will is there? Well, and it raises a lot of interesting TVA questions. Like, what's an illusion? Who are the prisoners? Like, who are they doing this for? Space lizards, something else?
Let's face it. Like, the two greatest parts of this show are the upset Owen Wilson and Loki, and then Loki figuring it out, and Owen Wilson and him working together. And it's cool, you know. Loki's taken. He's like, you got to work. You got to start earning. And I like the line where he's like, you know, you might want to pretend that your life depends on it. And Loki does it, and then he goes and he's poking around to see, you know, can I get information on the beginning of time, the timekeepers?
Classified.
Nothing. Classified. I like how she does. The librarian doesn't even acknowledge him until the bell
nearly
is
broken
rung.
bell.
Yeah.
For Christ's sakes.
But when he finds out the idea of the apocalypse being a hiding place, because he finds out that at Ragnarok, and again they do show that there's an effect on him seeing that, and we forget.
When he looks at the number,
yeah,
it's all listed how many died. 2,000,
exactly.
More than that actually. 27,000.
9,000 some odd on Asgard,
and then of course
or maybe
that
was
the other
ship.
half dies on the ship, and then the other half snaps for 5 years.
There's like a quarter of them left. So, he figures out that basically if there's no one left after an event, you could go there and do whatever you want, because everyone in that time is about to die. So as long as you're always there right before they die, you could do whatever. There's no variance. Now, if you released someone, gave someone a message, that would give away the location. And I thought that was a brilliant use of time travel rules. Holy crap, dude! Mm-hmm. The idea of using it's almost like in Futurama, where they use the time code, and it's a paradox correcting time code, and so it'll kill variants in the future that shouldn't exist. And it's great to see something like this use that, because it's so far out there in the time travel theories. I mean, look, the guys on writing Futurama have actual physics and mathematics degrees. It's freaking crazy. Almost as crazy as the segue to our sponsor, Grow Generation.
Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. Grow Generation is your one-stop shop for hydroponic grow supplies, product systems, and more. Grow Generation serves customers across the nation and carries a wide inventory of renowned cultivation brands. Go to www.growgeneration.com, where the pros go to grow.
Outstanding. Anyways, carry on, Nick.
Yeah, to break down exactly what you said, well, in terms I wrote down, but a Nexus won't happen. The TVA will not be aware if you're that close to an event, because as Loki proves, when Mobius and him go to try it out at Pompeii, if we're that close to the event, no one can run away and tell stories about Loki or whatever. They all get blasted into statues, basically, if no one doesn't know their Pompeii history.
Did you hear online, was he because it sounded less Latin and more old Italian, but not modern Italian? Did anyone say online what language he was speaking? Was he speaking Greek?
I didn't see anything. You want to look at. We do know that he doesn't speak everything, so maybe it probably would be more of a Latin language, because remember, he doesn't speak I don't know if the language is Mongolian, but he doesn't speak whatever they spoke in Mongolia. So he's not as good as the one TVA agent in the last episode who said he could speak every language in the timeline. So you keep looking for that while I go on. So he proves that right. So Mobius takes it up to the top. Well, he doesn't yet. They go to research then. They look at the gum. They find the years it was produced, which is like 2047 to like 2053. Some little period of time. and they go to look at first I thought they said 1940s or something,
No.
and then like they're looking at disasters. I'm like, I don't remember that disaster in history. I'm like, oh, they're talking about the future.
Future disasters.
And they settle on a hurricane that wipes out an entire town
Haven
in
Hills,
Alabama.
Alabama.
Yep. At the Rocks Corp store is where the
Rocks Cart. Yep.
Yeah, Rocks Cart is the last place that has like is where Loki variant 2 is probably hanging out, because I don't know, that's where the gum would be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and of course, the Roxxon, is that how you would pronounce the normal company?
As
is
far as
important in Marvel lore. It's not one of those evil organizations you should never trust, like AIM. Not as bad as a Hydra or something, but like an AIM or something. They make bad shit.
They're evil Walmart.
Yeah, they're like the core. When I saw the size of that store, it just reminded me of WALL-E, where the entire planet is like whatever that company is.
Yeah,
it was like, it's all of Alabama, this one store.
They're like Marvel took the worst ideas and worst or the worst societal stereotypes of Exxon and Walmart because of the Valdez and Walmart, because it's horrible to provide low prices to the people, but you know, at one point Target actually paid its employees less and didn't catch any flack. But anywho, yeah, that's what it is. It's I like to call it evil Walmart plus Exxon.
And we've seen them. I didn't realize this. Someone pointed out we've seen their logo once in the MCU. They were used in Iron Fist, which isn't actually MCU anymore. One of the boats at the end of Iron Man 3 says Roxxon.
Yeah, and it was also used in
I think it was Iron
Cloak
Fist.
and Dagger.
Oh, they use on that too, but those I guess are not MCU anymore.
Not anymore.
Probably because they wanted to be able to use Roxxon.
Well, I mean, everything's multiverse if they want it to be.
That's
but
true.
We'll see what happens.
So this is our big action scene finale with a much better fight scene. Loki. Here's the interesting thing. So Loki says
I don't know if it was really. It was brutal. It was fun.
That was better choreographed than the earlier one
and stuff. Still dark though. Like this.
Yeah,
episode,
I can see it a lot better.
A lot of darkness.
Well,
in this
the TVA is
episode.
interesting. TVA is nice and light, and most locations they stop off at are dark. Except for it was nice daytime in Pompeii. Everyone was having a good time.
It was.
Go scot free, and then.
And then nobody's saying which language it is. So I'm wondering if it ends up being Greek. That might be why it sounds odd. I don't know.
You know way more about the way languages sound based on your travels.
I wish.
So, here's a funny question. I don't think Loki's clothes are dry. Remember how he does a little trick and he's like, "What? You've never seen someone?" He's using that illusion that he uses in like Thor 2, where he's not okay in his cell. I think he's soaking wet, but he's put on the illusion that he's dry.
I mean, how hard would it be?
That's not a power we've seen him have, though. But we have seen him put illusions over himself.
Yeah.
Like, hey.
But how hard
would it be a power move to show B-15 that he's like, I'm dry. What, you've never seen someone dry themselves with magic?
I mean, when you think you see just the green glow. I mean, he could have done a million things, from blow it off of himself to using heat to even using his frost giant powers and freezing it so much that it just fades away, and the green is like his flourish. You know. Yeah. Who knows? It could be legit, but flourish. I like the idea of him projecting imagery. Yeah. Anyways, the vacuum cleaner in the fight is brilliant. I was upset that not B12, B15.
Yeah, B15. B12 is a nice vitamin.
Yeah, it's a very nice vitamin. Great to take on a night of heavy drinking. Just a B complex period. Anyways, she got phasma'd, but I like how the Loki variant, the blonde female Loki variant, is constantly jumping bodies, and
was her power.
Yeah.
Touch, so you can jump. through bodies. So Loki doesn't even meet Lady Loki till the very end.
To the very, very end.
B-15 insists going with Loki because she doesn't trust Mobius because he seems to have a fascination with Loki past the mission.
Ooh,
Of course,
what if
Lady...
Mobius is working with Enchantress Loki?
I actually have I have a question I'm gonna ask at the end.
Oh, okay.
Not really a question, but a comparison.
I'm gonna start.
That's a good thought, though. I didn't think of
start calling her
Turncoat Mobius, especially since he wants to jet ski that badly. Maybe he is starting to question, especially when he has that conversation with Loki in the back of his head, like, why am I doing this if I can't even jet ski? Like, what's the fucking point?
Maybe.
But so yeah, we see a nice fight where Lady Loki keeps switching bodies. We see Lady Loki also setting charges for all the bombs she stole. They are able to rescue C20 or whatever her name is because Lady Loki's left her body.
Mm-hmm.
She can just like speak gibberish kind of at that point because she's like, even Hawkeye didn't have a good time when he was free.
Yeah, I wonder why it affected her so. Maybe because she killed some of her friends. Maybe I don't know because
we haven't seen anyone else
15
conscious that was affected. That's true.
15 didn't seem as disturbed, so it had to have been
could be the length
what
of time
she did. She wasn't under her control for that long. She was under control, then knocked out, released or whatever, and then taken away. But it could have been interrogation. She could have been in her mind in another off-camera scene or yet to be seen.
That being said, our Loki, tries to convince Lady Loki that she should join him because he wants to go meet, take out the timekeepers and the TVA. In fact, earlier in the episode, there was a line that I thought gave away what was going to happen, though that's not what happened later in the episode. I suggested this last week. I thought the other variant Loki, who we now know as Lady Loki, was stealing those to blow up the TVA. And there was some mention early in the episode, maybe even Renslayer said it, where she's like, how do you know he's not just here to destroy this place?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know he doesn't want to be here? And I was like, which I get, but she's like, no, like I got my own plans. She drops all the bombs through little doors to different locations throughout time. Everyone on the TVA watches in horror as a multiverse of madness is sort of formed with all the timelines crossing over, and they're all hitting the nexus points and going red, and like it's what we saw in the ad where like there are a lot of them and they're crossing over, I think, which is where like the timeline wars or multiverse wars they talk about come into effect. I guess every time they touch is probably a point where it's easy to slip between them, or even secret wars merge into each other. We don't know.
I still wonder because I maybe I'm thinking too much in a physics thing, and if anyone wants to look at these things, I'm pulling from string and superstring M theory and things like that. The idea of multiple dimensions as we know it's like a real thing, okay? Even the idea of this existence, the fact that we can use telescopes to look back and actually see the mere moments after time. People don't understand that looking at starlight is looking into the past, right?
So cool.
It is, right? And when you really get down to it, at least with our physics, the way that we understand it, everything that we can understand, matter / energy can't be created nor destroyed. It can only change form. Ever since it's been created, from the moment it was created, no more energy, just energy transfer. From hot to cold or cold to hot, from moving to not moving, basically, right? When it comes to dimensions, the idea is that you have to have something outside. You can't create something from within, right? So somehow, some way, there's got to be an extra layer of space-time, at least outside of here. So at least 2 extra dimensions in order for someone to say, create this dimension, right? Okay. So you've got that. And the idea in taking M, superstring, unifying, quantum theory, all this stuff talks about these universes, these dimensions, they can't exist together. There's theories that sometimes they can kind of cross, and people think, oh, that's where you get ghosts or Mandela Mandela. So sorry, no shit, Mandela. I keep trying to say that weird circle design thing and Nelson Mandela's names together. Sorry. But the Mandela effect, or deja vu. But in as far as we can tell is they can't occupy the same spaces. They can get really, really close, but they can't occupy space and time. The whole reason I'm getting at this is they say multiverse wars, but I get the feeling that it's universes fighting for superiority, not people within them.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I get this feeling that they're gonna badly reveal that whenever they combine, it allows the people within them to fight, and I don't want
like
that.
Doc Ock jumping into a different
exactly.
multiverse.
I don't like it like that. I don't at all. It's not a very clean multiverse tying it to time like this. So I hope that it stays that way. That it was basically the timelines or the universes crossing together being like when galaxies collide. It causes, physical damage to each timeline. I'm really hoping it doesn't legit turn into wars of the secret type.
So here's an interesting quote I took off the last episode. Because on to promote my other show, I'm Breaking Grade of the podcast. We talk about Loki for a little bit if you need a different opinion from a different gaggle of idiots and me. We do Looky, Here Comes Loki. It's our subject. We used to call Snowbird Watching was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then Vision Check was our WandaVision. But here's a exact quote I grabbed out for talking with Jammer, because he wanted me to explain it to him, and I realized you were more right than I was on our show last week when you explained it to me. But here's the exact line that Miss Minutes says that ties in the most. Stepping off your path created a nexus event, which left unchecked could branch off to madness, leading to another multiversal war. And it's like, we've seen Nexus used before this series, and we know the title of Doctor Strange is Multiverse of Madness. So it's just lines like that make me get shivers my spine. But so she does that. Lady Loki just drops all the things. Loki's still talking with her. He ends up following her through the gateway. I think we'll probably see one of the scenes we'll probably see in the next episode from the trailer is the Vormir looking planet with all the purple and them sitting together.
I don't think that's I think that's just Earth as the world's as the moon's crashing down and the timeline in that
could be anywhere. I think
maybe
that's be
like
part of next episode.
One of the other apocalypses, because there's like construction equipment there that's very Earth looking, but it looks almost like there's the building that's in the scene looks almost TVA or futuristic, so it might even be like outside the TVA inside their time zone, and that could be where those things are going, is maybe to the branches or doorways or something to the TVA, allowing Loki blonde enchantress variant, whatever the fuck. What's the actress's name? Call her that.
Forgot.
Anyways, maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know.
Well,
I like that. I don't know.
You want to know some of the locations on the board and the year attached to them when they're watching all the locations that she's dropping stuff?
Sure.
All right. Well, so we have Cookville, USA, 1999, whatever. Asgard, 2004, when Loki would be there. 2004. Not a time we don't know what's happening in 2004 in Asgard, but Rome in 1390, Sakaar 1984, Vormir 2031, Hela, and then a few other just random places. Those are the ones I kind of noticed when I stopped it, because it is a scrolling list, but I stopped it once or twice to see. So they're going all locations we've heard of all over the place, just random years. None of them seem to be attached to any of the years we've been on these places, except for I think
that would be
1984 and Sakaar is a a fun joke because Sakaar is such an 80s aesthetic and stuff.
And Vormir thinking of humans reaching it. I mean, if it's futuristic and there's construction equipment, because that was what was throwing me off, was the construction equipment. But then again, they can play with colors in the editing room and trick you with trailer edits. So we'll
those bombs turn purple before they do any damage. That too. So
that's why at first I was like, it's another planet, and then I was like, no, it's Earth. Look at that construction equipment, but look at that building. It's so weird.
And then of course, Renslayer finally joins the battle by grabbing her. Her weapon is literally like on a pedestal, like it's literally like beside her other treasures, like it hasn't been used in a while.
And she was what, C29 or something like that, or A29? I can't remember what it said on her helmet, but yeah.
Even she's jumped into the field because we're at all out madness right now.
Yep.
So I thought of this earlier, but we changed subjects. Hold on, I'm drinking root beer now, so. None of those were that impressive.
No. Still not. Just give it up.
Fizzy in my nose. It would be very fitting if most of the TVA we kind of discussed was an illusion, because it mirrors Loki.
Yeah, I could see.
It's all about illusions, and obviously, a lot of it seems suspicious, as we've discussed.
Mm-hmm.
And above Renslayer's position, a lot of it seems suspicious.
Very much
You
so.
have a bunch of people basically who even believe they don't have free will because they know the timeline has to work out. No, they can't go jet skiing, like just toiling away. No talk of vacations. No talk of leaving your desk.
It's almost like being in Japan. I'm joking. I'm joking. Everyone knows the work culture there is intense, but it's okay to joke.
And they have beautiful places to see, unlike the TVA. Natural places.
They do. Oh my god.
Japan's beautiful. I haven't been, but
Ireland is gorgeous. I got to brag about my trip to Ireland on Twitter earlier. A follower posted a funny meme about Ireland, and I had to post that picture of Christine and I on the edge of the world, basically at the cliffs of Moher. I mean, really, that's what it's like. You're standing on 300-meter cliffs on the west coast of Ireland, and all you see is the Atlantic Ocean before. It's gorgeous.
You wouldn't know anything existed.
Nothing past it.
Past that back in the day.
So beautiful. So
yeah, not my favorite episode.
I
by
liked
far
it, man.
in the overall Marvel universe.
Real
I still love it.
In the head.
Yeah.
Except
for some reason, I like the first episode a lot more. Though I've heard a lot of people complain the first episode is too much talky, like too much setting up the world.
This is Loki.
But I love the first episode.
I don't expect a shit ton of action. I expect a lot of dialogue, but I will admit that there's been a few slip ups and a few on the nose things to where we might get some really cool stuff, but I'll even say, now that name has been dropped, with how on the nose other things have been, yeah, I don't think this is going the way we think it was originally. I think the more I think about it now, I think there's some lazy. It's not bad lazy, but some lazy writing here, and I think it will be Enchantress. Now I do. And more, it's been sitting on me like so much shit has been on the nose, and they work so hard to hide for the moment Lady Loki in this cloak. But you're right, the powers, he doesn't know about those powers. They've worked really hard to make it seem like it's Loki, but I don't know. Hopefully I'm under examining it, like unlike how I broke WandaVision in episode 2, where I was like, oh, we're watching a real life magic show for 6 hours. That's what we're watching. We're watching Misdirection and Flourish and all of that for 6 hours. This is awesome. Here, I'm not quite sure. I'm hoping I'm wrong, that some of this on the nose stuff is just like rough start. I don't know.
Like
What do you
Sharon
think?
Carter was something
Huh?
I think of. Sharon Carter is something I think of in the past who was like just like Lady Loki, where it's like when they do the turn, it's like, oh yeah, exactly what I expected.
Yeah. Well, I honestly didn't think Carter would be Power Bro, and they
Thought
could
she's
still
just
make
working
it.
for him.
Yeah, they could still make it to where she's not the
Like she's
there's
the face of Power Broker,
yeah,
like Trevor.
yeah.
My name's
So
Trevor.
we'll see what happens. It's only because they didn't do her character any without seeing the fall. It doesn't it doesn't work as well. So just hearing that she got left behind and went her own devices doesn't make sense. The last time we saw her,
Yeah, so we'll
Before
see.
that.
I still think it'll be an amalgamation of the characters, and she'll be like, "Yes, I'm a Loki, but call me Enchantress."
Yeah.
Type thing.
I do.
Like I'm absolutely
I
a
agree.
Loki, but
I agree, but yeah. I think
That'll
we're
help
gonna
us-
see the E name by the end of this.
because you kept saying when you were like not careful not to say Lady Loki, I'm like, what's? Oh, maybe it's like a people wouldn't like that description. I realize
Well,
why you were
some-
saying it.
some
No, you're always gonna offend someone, but that
Yeah,
I see
and
Marvel.
that's why I was like,
I
fuck
see
it.
Marvel going with the name Enchantress just for that reason.
And that's why I said I think there might be some people that'll be upset. Oh, you took away a particular moment, but not necessarily. Still not necessarily. I'll always point to creation of new characters is always better in the end, and usage of existing characters that even if you have to reach back to get in order to get some diversity is good, like seeing Scott Allen coming back for DC's Green Lantern Corps. Whenever you talk Green Lantern, the first two names are either Hal Jordan or
John Stewart.
John Stewart. Thank you. Everyone forgets
Not
about
that
Scott.
John Stewart, everyone. If you're not
Yeah,
DC
everyone
Comics.
forgets about Scott, and it's like, dude's like the original Green Lantern. How are you gonna
They
forget?
cast my favorite first. I love Guy.
Right, and so
Guy
but,
Gardner, I think is I love that guy.
he was one of DC's first openly gay characters, I believe, and
Of the first Lantern?
yeah, Alan Scott.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
That was a long time ago. Unless they
I don't
made
know.
him that later, probably.
I think they
In a mini reboot
I don't
or
know
soft reboot.
for certain, but I do know that he is going to definitely be openly gay for the character screen portrayal, and that's great. And to me, that was better than what Marvel did with Bobby Iceman in 2017.
Oh, in the comics.
in the
I
comics.
never got that far in the movies. with that
I was just
character.
like it was a total retcon because of the Secret World or Secret Wars and the
really?
Battle World, and it allowed them to, history's all rewritten. But at the same time, I'm like, you guys already had gay X-Men. Why aren't you, like, somebody put their heart and soul into these other creations, and it's like, I don't know. I think more people need to realize that there are some great characters out there, and not give Hollywood so much free pass when they do something lazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, the comics are working on it, and because we've gone through our A-listers and the Avengers, sort of, not all of them, we can get to some of the more recent characters that were made gay. Like I think America Chavez is gay.
Miss Marvel,
She's going to be in
America
Doctor
Chavez
Strange.
is Doctor.
Yeah.
She's massively important too, according to some leaked.
I don't know enough about her to know
t-shirts.
why she is, but
Well, because
yeah.
she can punch holes through dimensions.
Ah!
Legitimately punch holes. That's her power.
She's an ally.
Manny's not a very big fan of her character, but
I've never read a single line of her dialogue. She hasn't showed up in any
he's-
events I've read either.
Yeah,
so
he
I
said-
can't judge.
he said that he feels that she this is Manny, and you can go back and check the LR Mornings or Daily Cog episode. I think he said she checked too many boxes at once. Like it was
He's also
box overload.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorites, just that I think he's been that way of all time, Constantine, bisexual since the beginning of time, because he's kind of like Lando in that way. I bet he's by species too. He's fucked demons and didn't even look like humans. He's like, yeah, he's just like, he's such a player.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you real quick before we go. Have you watched Castlevania?
Yes, of course.
I enjoy Castlevania a lot. I just started watching it because Belmont is Constantine. He's a drunk. He has to deal with shit, but he really doesn't want to. And he'll betray people, but he's always going to fight the demon or the monster.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I recommend that show to people. Even though it's
Are you on
off
season
topic.
1 right now?
No, I think I'm on 3.
Okay.
I've been binge watching the hell out of it
cool.
since I started watching like a week ago.
Good. 3's
And Jonesy
real,
told me
real
that
good.
4 has a satisfying ending, and they just announced the spinoff.
I haven't finished 4, so
Cool.
cool. Are we
out?
done?
Think
Finally, fuck, shit, man. We talked about an hour show. That's ridiculous.
so. Better than when we used to talk over an hour about a 20-minute show.
I know, right? Hey, everyone, check it out. Social media information down below. If you can't see that because you're not on YouTube and you're listening on the Genreverse Podcast Network, brought to you by LRM on something like Spotify, SoundCloud, Google, or Apple, subscribe, follow on those apps. But if you are on YouTube, hit that red subscribe button and the bell so you know whenever we're publishing great content. There's the Daily Cog, our daily show Monday through Friday with me and Manny and other people. Nick gets to show up whenever we have to pre-record, and hopefully one day he grows up and becomes a real boy and gets a circadian rhythm. I hear those are issued out at about age 16 generally, but no, I'm joking. I didn't get mine till I was like I still don't have one. Anyways, subscribe to all that, guys. We've been putting out a lot of really great content. Breaking Geek Radio, Animeversal. This Saturday's getting spicy, guys. Have you ever heard of things like Domestic Girlfriend, Rent-A-Girlfriend, Eromanga Sensei? Hey, yeah, if you've heard of any of those titles, that's the type of stuff to expect to hear about on Animeversal Midnight Run. So yeah, we're totally not stealing Toonami's name and using it in spicy ways, but I'm excited about that. That's with me and Christine. So check that out on Saturday. And then yeah, Nick, talk about other stuff that's going on. Breaking Geek or whatever.
You already talked about Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, which comes out every Friday. I'm at Geeky Nick Doll, etc. Please join us on our Discord. In fact, I want to reach out to you. I know you exist. There are people listening and watching this. I've seen the evidence. Help us come up with a new name. I have a few ideas, but we can't do Marvel Multiverse Mondays anymore.
Send some name. Yeah, send some name suggestions to at Geeky Nick Doll, and then
or you can do it on our Discord, or you can comment below this video.
And then maybe we'll pick the top 4 or 5 that we find and throw them up on Twitter, maybe something like that. I don't know. We'll discuss it, Nick. Yeah.
And let me run 1 or 2 by the fans too to see if they like it.
Yeah. We're open.
This is Cam's idea. Marvel multi-genreverse, referring to our name. But I like Marvel. If we keep the alliteration, I like Marvel Multiverse Mania.
That's nice.
But we don't need to keep the alliteration. We just get a brand new name. I thought the last one was cleverish, and it needs to be something no one else has used.
I had thought Marvel's Multiverse in the Genreverse, but that's too wordy. So, yeah, we need help, people.
Too wordy. Right now we're calling it Marvel Multiverse Mondays presents Loki Thorsdays.
Yeah,
and we won't change that name until we're out of Loki.
Yeah, definitely, because that works. But yeah, all right, that's it. I think we're done. Let me cue up this wonderful exit video that I should have had already queued up. Bye-bye.
Excelsior.
Enough said. say